This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. After the celestial ring was broken, Yunxiao was about to use the sword diagram, but he stopped when he heard Elder Mi's shout. He also did not want to fall out with the myriad treasure tower. After all, in his previous life and this life, he had had pleasant experiences of getting along. The woman's face had already turned blue and purple. Shock, shame, anger, embarrassment, and all kinds of other emotions appeared on her face. She also knew that if she continued to fight, the possibility of her defeat was extremely high. The battle just now has broadened my horizons, Elder Mi said. Young Master Yun, you truly live up to your name. Yunxiao restrained his aura and flew down from the sky as he said indifferently, Elder Mi, you flatter me. Can I take the demon rabbit's inner core now? Of course. Elder Mi suddenly became magnanimous. He made a casual gesture and smiled, Young Master Yun, you've already proven that you killed this rabbit, so everything here is naturally yours. How can we take the other parts? To tell you the truth, Yunxiao said, I opened a space tunnel when I fought this demon rabbit, and I was teleported here directly. I was also seriously injured and had just recovered in this wasteland. I didn't expect you to enter. Everyone's hearts trembled. Li Feiyu suddenly felt a sense of powerlessness. The gap between the two of them was getting bigger and bigger, as if they would never cross paths again. He could only look at the back of the other as they walked further and further away. Elder Mi suppressed the shock in his heart and forced a smile, I see. If young Master Yun were to reveal his strength, it would indeed be very difficult to believe. Now that it's been confirmed, there's no more misunderstanding. Young Master Yun, you can take all of this rabbit. Yunxiao did not stand on ceremony. He was not as rich as Myriad Treasure's store, and he would need a lot of resources in the future. He patted the rabbit on the forehead and immediately put it into the Divine Realm tablet. The Myriad Treasure Tower's people all felt their hearts ache unceasingly when they saw this. Although the sect was rich, it did not mean that they were all rich. Yunxiao put the rabbit away and said, the misunderstanding has been resolved. I still have important matters to attend to, so I'll take my leave first. Young Master Yun, please wait. Elder Mi said hurriedly. This old man has something to ask you. Are you talking about Songyue Yang City? Yunxiao turned around and asked. What happened to her? It is. Elder Mi's face was solemn as he said sternly, Songyue City was the city of the Merchant Union, but it was destroyed in one day, shocking the world. What's even more unbearable is that the murderer has yet to be found, and the whereabouts of our sect's elders are also very worrying. Yunxiao sneered. After Brother Feiyu left that day, I also opened a passage and fled. I don't know anything about what happened after that. I would like to know what happened after that. With the power of the Merchant Union, how could they not find any clues? Or did they not investigate at all? Elder Mi's expression changed slightly, and he said in a serious tone, Young Master Yun, you're thinking too much. The Four Extremes sect, the main culprit of this incident, has already been deserted. Those few demons are also wanted all over the world, but there are no clues at all. If we really want to investigate, what can't we find out? Yunxiao said disdainfully. I'm afraid that the Merchant Union is busy dividing the interests left by the Four Extremes sect, right? Elder Mi said, of course, we have to split the profits. There's nothing to hide, but the murderer has been investigating this whole time. Since young Master Yun can't provide any more clues, I won't disturb you any further. Yunxiao suddenly thought of something and asked, Elder Mi, have you ever heard of a person called Lu Jianba? Lu Jianba? Elder Mi furrowed his brows and thought for a moment before shaking his head. I've never heard of it. What were the characteristics of this person? If young Master Yun wants to find someone, you can entrust it to our Myriad Treasures store, and we'll definitely have news. Yunxiao sneered. Your home in the Merchant Union has been destroyed, and you can't even find the murderer. How can you help me find him? He said. Goodbye. He saw that Elder Mi didn't seem to be pretending, so Lu Jianba most likely wasn't from the Chamber of Commerce. He didn't say anything more, turned around, and left in a flash of lightning. The remaining people of Myriad Treasures store looked at each other, not knowing what to say. This Li Yunxiao is too unreasonable. We were kind enough to help him find the person, yet he's mocking us. The woman called Song Ling pouted and said unhappily. Although it's unpleasant to hear, he's right. Li Feiyu forced a smile. We can't even find the murderer, how can we have the nerve to talk about helping him find someone? Elder Mi's expression was dark and uncertain as he said, Lu Nan, if we had continued to fight, would you have had a chance of winning? Everyone was shocked and turned to look at the woman. After that battle, the woman's face had been ashen and she had not said a word. Now that Elder Mi had asked, she immediately gritted her teeth and said, no chance of winning. Most likely, she added after a while. The young disciples were all shocked. Even with their cultivation, they had only seen the two fight to a draw, and they had guessed that the woman in the palace dress had not used her full strength. They had not expected the truth to be reversed. Elder Mi's face turned cold. If you and I join forces, are you 100% sure we can take him down? The disciples were even more shocked. Elder Mi was a 5-star martial emperor. 1 star was a world's difference. Even a 4-star martial emperor would not be able to escape from him. He actually asked about joining forces. Elder Mi, what's that Li Yunxiao doing? Li Feiyu was also greatly shocked. Elder Mi extended his hand and interrupted him. Instead, he looked at the woman in the court dress with a grave expression. The woman's face also changed several times. She gritted her teeth and said, Elder Mi, I really don't know. But, I have a feeling in my heart that Yunxiao's true strength is enough to compete with you. Perhaps I'm overthinking it. Everyone was dumbstruck, including Li Feiyu, who had a look of disbelief on his face. Elder Mi's face also twitched a few times. With his hands behind his back, he slowly said, just now, fortunately, I suppressed the killing intent in my heart. Otherwise, I would have been in trouble. Everyone's hearts trembled, and cold sweat broke out on their backs. After leaving the Myriad Treasures store, Yunxiao continued to head toward the southeast with Blood Moon as his target. A few days later, they stopped above a mountain range and landed on a flat mountain. After taking out the Divine Realm tablet, they flew in directly. The rabbit's corpse was suspended in the sky, and the dark thunder had appeared beside the rabbit at some point. It flew up and down around the rabbit, seemingly very interested. Yunxiao snorted and said, Huh? I've forgotten that this thing is also a lightning attribute demonic beast. It's just that it's too weak, and its lightning power is of no use to me. The Dark Thunder was also an 8th-tier martial venerable at the moment, but it was not enough to withstand Yunxiao's kick. It seemed to understand Yunxiao's words, as it lay on the ground in grievance and kept making a clangy sounds, as if it was protesting. Get lost. Yunxiao kicked the Dark Thunder in the air, and it jumped up in horror, trying to dodge. But, it was too late, and was sent flying thousands of meters away by Yunxiao's kick. Only then did it stand in the air far away, not daring to come close. Only then did Yunxiao turn his eyes to the rabbit. With a sweep of his divine sense, he immediately located the rabbit's inner core, then gently pointed his finger at it. With a poof, a bloody hole was opened in the rabbit's chest, from which a thin stream of blood gushed out. Then, a blue light slowly spilled out and flew into Yunxiao's hand, emitting a surging energy. It would be a waste to swallow this bead directly, but I don't have enough materials and strength to refine it at the moment. Yunxiao stared at the blue, crystal-like inner core for a while, then sighed regretfully and was about to swallow it. Suddenly, a loud roar rang out. The Dark Thunder suddenly rushed up, and its eyes emitted a golden light. Its mouth was extremely huge, and it swooped down, wanting to bite the rabbit's inner core. Yunxiao raised his foot and stepped on its face as he shouted, You dare to snatch my things, are you looking for death? Roar, roar, roar. The Dark Thunder struggled with all its might, unwilling to give up. Its desire for the inner core was extremely strong. Golden arcs of electricity shot out of Dark Thunder's body and struck Yunxiao's feet, causing them to glow with a golden light. You have a lot of treasures anyway, so just let it eat this. A human figure appeared in the sky. It was Yu Jiolin. He also cultivated thunder-type techniques, and he got along well with the dark thunder. He could not bear to see it so eager to be rejected. Dark thunder also had a pleading look on its face, but its eyes never left the demon core. Yunqiao had also thought about extracting the thunder from dark thunder. Since it had become a martial honor, its power of thunder and lightning had also undergone a certain change, turning golden. However, it was not strong enough, so although the thunder was quite powerful, it was not of much use to him. Unless dark thunder could be trained to the level of a martial sovereign of the 9 heavens, but this was something that had never happened before. Even if he became a martial venerable, he was a 1 in a million exception. Forget it, I'll give it to you, you animal. Yunqiao flicked his finger, and the blue inner core turned into an arc and shot directly into the dark thunder's mouth. The dark thunder's fur stood on end as it roared into the sky. Its golden fur suddenly turned light blue, and bolts of blue lightning shot out from its body, flashing in the air. Both Yunqiao and Yu Jiolin were taken aback. They did not expect such a big reaction. However, the rabbit's inner core was 9th tier, so it would probably have to suffer for a while if the dark thunder wanted to absorb it all. Other than the inner core, this rabbit's blood is also a rare item. When this animal has recovered, let it consume some rabbit blood. It can transform its body to a certain extent. Yunqiao ordered Yu Jiolin. Then, he pointed a finger in the air, and a few holes immediately burst open in the rabbit's major acupuncture points, from which a large amount of blood gushed out like a fountain. Under his control, he gathered the blood into a few glass containers and handed one bottle to Yu Jiolin. After the rabbit lost its inner core and its blood was drained, its entire body shriveled up. It lay on the ground, skin and bones, without any light. At this moment, the value of its body was the light blue fur and bone armor. After giving his instructions, Yunqiao came out of the Divine Realm tablet. Looking at the continuous mountain range, he hesitated. The ruins that Deng Feiyu had given him were tens of thousands of miles north of this mountain range. Calculating the time, he had already spent more than half a month in this ancient land. If he went to the ruins again, he would not have time to obtain Tian Si. He wasn't worried that someone else would obtain Tian Si, because from the inheritance he had obtained on the throne, in order to activate Tian Si, one must have the power of the moon pupil. In other words, he was the only one who had the chance to obtain Tian Si. However, there were exceptions to everything, such as Jiang Churen. Jiang Churen was a peak 9 stars martial emperor expert, one of the few experts in the world. Perhaps he could use his strength to forcefully obtain Tian Si. After weighing the pros and cons and making up his mind, Yunqiao decided to give up on the location of the ruins provided by Deng Feiyu, and instead fled southeast with all his might. After a few days, they finally arrived at the edge of a swamp and began to enter the desert southeast of the Blood Moon. As soon as they stepped into the desert, they felt a strong yuan power vibration. There were people fighting in front of them. They were not very strong and were basically martial supremes. More than 10 people surrounded a stone-like monster beast and attacked it. The color of the monster beast's body was almost the same as the sand in the desert. From time to time, it would burrow into the ground and come and go without a trace. Don't be discouraged, everyone. This demonic beast is already an arrow at the end of its flight. Let's join forces and kill it. At least we didn't waste our time coming here. One of the 9 stars martial supremes, who was wearing a long green robe, shouted in a deep voice. His strength was considered to be among the top among the crowd, and he had become the leader of the crowd. There were only 3 high-level revered martial artists among the 10 people. The rest of them had average strength, but they had the advantage in numbers. Their cooperation was very good, and there were no casualties. Hidden in the void, Yunqiao swept his divine sense into the gravel, and a strange look appeared on his face. The stone-like demonic beast was actually the same type as his gored little King Kong. It seemed to be a variant of the stone beast, but its strength was definitely a level higher than the stone head. Bang! Be careful! The stone beast suddenly burst out of the gravel and directly pushed a martial honor into the sky. Fortunately, the martial honor was prepared. Although he was hit by a huge force and spat out a few mouthfuls of blood on the spot, his life was not in danger. However, the stone beast did not stop. Instead, it shot up like a rocket and pushed the Marshal Supreme 1,000 meters into the air. Pa! A chilling voice came from the sky. The stone beast grabbed the martial honor and tore him in half. 2 pieces of a corpse and internal organs fell to the ground. The scene was bloody and terrifying. What? You should die. The green-robed 9-stars Marshal Supreme was shocked and furious. He shouted, "This is a good opportunity. No matter what, don't let it fall into the sand. Kill it in the air." A ray of sword light flew up first. The green-robed man and his sword became one as he slashed forward. His strategy was very correct. The power of the stone beast would at least be halved in the air. Bang! The green-robed man was overjoyed. The stone beast's fist was destroyed by the sword light. The green-robed man was overjoyed. The stone beast's strength was indeed much weaker. His other hand hurriedly formed a seal and sent out several powerful fist lights. Bang! Bang! The stone beast's body exploded one after another like a pile of sand, exploding beyond recognition. When the people below saw this, they were also overjoyed and rushed up to the sky one after another, joining forces to attack, constantly smashing the stone beast's body, taking the upper hand. Dang! Suddenly, the sound of a bell rang out of thin air. It was melodious and clear, as if it came from the endless end. It also seemed to ring in their hearts. Everyone was instantly dazed. Dang! The second bell chimed immediately after, but this time, it was not as comfortable. Instead, it was like a sledgehammer suddenly smashing down from the sky, shaking everyone's chest. Pfft. Everyone spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot, and their faces were filled with horror. Even the man in green spat out a large mouthful of blood from the shock of the bell. He could no longer care about the stone beast and was extremely frightened and on guard. The stone beast was relieved for a moment, and the remaining incomplete body fell directly into the gravel below and disappeared again. Who are you? Which lord is it? The azure-robed man suppressed the fear and uneasiness in his heart and asked carefully. If the other party was hostile, it would be difficult for everyone present to escape death. You guys can leave. I want this demonic beast. Yunxiao's voice came faintly. The green-robed man's expression softened and he heaved a sigh of relief. He could tell that the other party's tone had no ill intentions. You want it just because you say so? Do you know how much effort we've spent to kill this demonic beast and how many comrades we've lost? A 7-stars Marshal Venerable couldn't take it anymore. He said angrily, "You're good, you want to take it away just because you want it. How can there be such a cheap thing in the world? And now that the stone beast has returned to the earth, it will be extremely difficult to find it again." The green-robed man's expression changed drastically, and he hurriedly shouted, "Idiot, shut up." He was so anxious that he broke out in a cold sweat. He was afraid that the person in the void would get angry and kill them all in one move. Although the rest of the people were also furious, they didn't dare to make a sound. There was a moment of silence in the air, then Yunxiao's voice came again, "Oh? You're very unconvinced." A wave of pressure suddenly appeared and instantly fell on the 7-stars Marshal Venerable like a mountain, causing his face to turn pale. His heart was filled with endless fear as he hurriedly shouted with all his might, "I'm convinced, I'm convinced, I'm convinced. My lord, please spare my life, I know I was wrong." Humph. Yunxiao's cold voice rang out as he retracted his aura and said, "Is there anyone else who is unconvinced?" At this moment, no one dared to make a sound, and they were all silent like cicadas in winter. The 9-stars Marshal Supreme in green robes felt bitter in his heart. His many days of hard work had turned into bubbles in front of his eyes. However, this was how the world was. The strong were respected. He had no choice but to be unconvinced. He said carefully, "We naturally have no objections to Milord wanting this stone beast, but now that it has already escaped back into the earth, I'm afraid it will be difficult to find it again." You don't have to worry about that, Yunxiao's voice came. All of a sudden, the color of heaven and earth changed slightly. A bolt of lightning fell from the sky and struck the ground directly. With the landing point as the center, an extremely powerful lightning field began to spread out, instantly turning the ground green. Bang! There was an explosion somewhere, followed by a flash of green light. The stone beast's body was directly shaken out. Its whole body was wrapped in green lightning, and it was roaring in a low voice. Just as everyone was still in shock, a bolt of lightning streaked across the sky and shot directly at the stone beast. In the blink of an eye, the stone beast disappeared. The lightning flashed again, and it flew towards the center of the desert, disappearing from everyone's sight. More than 10 people stood in the sky in a daze. All of them had a dull expression on their faces, and they didn't dare to make a sound. After a while, someone asked in a soft voice, "Did that person leave?" "He should have left, right?" a person beside him replied carefully. He even looked around a few times, afraid that the person would suddenly jump out again. "Did any of you see his real face?" someone suddenly asked. Everyone was silent, but at the same time, they were shocked. A martial artist had snatched their spoils of war in front of their eyes, but they didn't even know what the other party looked like. It was really frustrating. One had to know that they were at least revered martial artists of the 8 Baron Mirror. Any one of them was at least a pillar of support in their own sect, and had never suffered such humiliation. Humph. If I find out who did it, I'll definitely teach him a lesson when we're out of here. The one who spoke was the warrior who had refused to accept the challenge and begged for mercy. Everyone looked at him with disdain. He had already left, so what was there to say? Many people had mocking looks on their faces. The warrior's face was slightly red as he stared at a warrior who was weaker than him. The murderous aura on his body rushed over and he said angrily, "What, you don't believe me? What's that expression on your face?" The martial artist's expression changed drastically as he coldly said, I believe you, okay?" The man in the long green robe was also irritated. He shouted, "Don't quarrel, is there really no one who can see who it is?" I felt that the voice was familiar. Song Nan, the psychic magic eyes passed down in the Song family for generations, have an extremely powerful peeking ability. Didn't you notice? A short middle-aged man's face was pale. He bit his lips tightly and seemed to be extremely hesitant. In the end, he chose to remain silent. He shook his head and said, "I didn't see clearly." The green-robed man was shocked. He didn't believe that. At least, the expression on Man Song's face had already betrayed his inner thoughts. However, he nodded his head slightly and didn't want to ask any more questions. Song Nan's choice proved that he didn't dare to offend that person, so he didn't dare to reveal his identity. If he chased after him, he would be in trouble. Although they had lost the stone beast this time, they had also gained a lot of experience. Everyone consoled themselves in this way, and their mood slowly improved. They directly left the desert in groups. They didn't dare to go deep into the center of the desert. After obtaining the stone beast, Yunxiao threw it directly into the Divine Realm tablet and asked Yuan Gaohan to study it. He had no time to pay attention to it now, so he continued flying toward the center of the desert. After flying for a few miles, he felt the heat in the world getting higher and higher, as if he had entered a huge furnace. The deeper he went, the more intense the feeling became. Not only was the environment getting worse, but there was also a strange aura coming from the gravel below, as if many extremely terrifying existences were hidden there. Even the occasional aura that leaked out made Yunxiao's face turn extremely serious. He unconsciously flew a little higher. He would rather suffer from the scorching heat than disturb the terrifying aura. But, even though he was so careful, he was still targeted by a powerful existence. A sense of extreme danger spread in his heart. Yunxiao looked around with a solemn expression, but he could not see anything.